Bob Trade Genius. It's the 9th of August, and what I wanted to do was to start off with showing you the futures again. Very interesting day. Yesterday I told you it should be a bloodbath, and last night it sold down quite a bit from yesterday. Let me zoom out here for you. And so it just dropped and dropped and dropped, and then at the open it got all the way down to 58.61 area, and this is another 140 point move. And I really don't care what you might be seeing in the paper, but I'm just going to show you something on a daily that'll just blow you away. Give me a second here to clean this up and zoom this back in a little bit. Okay, this is what distribution looks like. Okay, so big sell-off, and then look at these candles and these wicks. These are just huge ranges that are being thrown around now on people, and this is because big money's trying to get out, and this is, you know, all-time highs right here. Okay, and you know what will need to happen here is we'll need to break down below here to get really the change in trend in my view, and I think it's coming. You know, it's a lot of people are talking about, you know, Jackson Hole, but you know, T. Rowe Price today talked about actually reducing equity exposure in all their allocations. And so that's a beginning. And you know, I want to show you some charts. You know, there's some big guys now out there that are starting to weaken, and so it's gonna get mighty interesting. And let me zoom out one more here. And I want to show you today on this. And just let everybody know, tomorrow I'm gonna do a class on trading the futures and also how we use our day trading money machine to make money nearly every day on this. And so I don't usually get started till 4 or 5 in the morning my time. And the arrows that I like to look at first of all, I take a look at, see where the, you know, kind of where the range is. This is the value low area. This is the value high area. This is the point of control where the most volume was over the last 5 days. And then I look to see what the action was, and at 5 in the morning, this big arrow here is telling me that on a faster stochastic, it's coming out of an embedded oversold condition, and this is a trade to take. And so you know, you could take this trade, and you know, what I like to look at first is like see if I can get up to the next deviation line or up to the VWAP line before I get a sell signal. And so this area is interesting to me. This is it's telling me that the short-term trend changed direction, and it's a fairly quick indicator, and this is on a 5-minute too. So this is really designed for scalping. It's not for swing trading. And then, you know, you could have took your trade here. And it was right at the minus SD2, which is a very high probability trade. If you see this and you see this, you just take the trade, okay? And then here was a trade that I was most interested in because it was getting close to the open, and we already got overbought already, and we were still underneath the VWAP line here. And these red lines are telling me that the longer term stochastic got stretched against its signal line, which is saying, hey, you know, if you're still running long, you probably should get out. And then this confirmed it, and you know, definitely take this short, which I did. And what's been happening also too in the market is that the market's been selling off early every morning at the open, and so I was anticipating it again. This gave me courage of the signal. And once it got down, it broke the SD2 again, and I even called this out in the trading room. As I said, hey, if it gets down to 68, we're going to go long. And and that's exactly what happened. And the reason why I was confident that they were going to stop it there, because this line and this line here stops about 85% of the moves. Okay, they're measurements of volatility against the volume range here, and once it pushes down this hard, there's going to be algos looking to take it back to the black line here. And plus, the longer term stochastic was indicating to us that that there's a trend change to the positive. And so, this trade to here and this trade to here, right here, made the day for us. Okay, so you could be done. And that's one thing I just try to tell people. It's hard when you're trading because you want to take every trade. But this right here would give you I had 2 contracts running, and and right here was I think $800, between these moves, and we're done. But if you want to keep trading, you can. But once you get to the long-term stochastic that we have, once it gets embedded to the overbought side, it's shorting is kind of a waste of money, because it's going to get bid back, as you can see here. So, and then once you get into this area here, it's lunchtime. So you just kind of stay away from the trades till you get to about 11 o'clock. And then you look for the next trade. That's because oil markets going to start to close, and things get a little hinky. Okay? And right away we got a signal saying trend was changing, but if you wanted to wait for the big arrow, it's saying that it's coming out of embedded. This is a high probability setup for you. And we took this trade down to the VWAP, and then what's been happening is, see, we got the big arrow up, came above VWAP. We're getting these things we call the slingshots. They're saying that, hey, if you were short, it's way overdue for a bounce, and then they ran this bad boy into the up to flat into the close. And I didn't take this trade, but because I was done. But this is the trade. Right here is 30 points, $600 for just one contract of NG and Q, I mean, and right here we called it and got confirmation, come above the VWAP. And then what you do is, a lot of people get this, I get 2 points, they freak out. You can just set a trail, or you could set a dollar loss and let this thing run. Especially, just like in the morning, the probabilities are telling you they're going to sell it off early. Probabilities are always telling us they're going to ramp it late. So give it some room so you can make some money. People hold on so tight that they're getting stopped out every 5 minutes, and you get frustrated. And you see a bunch of arrows here, but as we teach you here, I mean, the big arrows are the ones that you should pay most attention to, and these other arrows coming the other way are saying, hey, if you took a run here, hey, there's no reason why you couldn't take profit here. But then the blue arrow is telling us, hey, trend's moving up again. You could have took it up to here. Then, I mean, anybody who took this trade is low probability of success. But you run this thing up to S2, you'd have been done. So it ran up to S1, came to SD1, boom, up to SD2. So it probably would have been done in 2 trades for most people. But anyway, that's what we do. That's what the arrows help. It helps visualize everything. And I think you really like it. It's for what you pay for it. You'd have made it back today, and you're in profit. And that's the day trading money machine. It's in the tips and tricks area of the academy. And so I encourage you to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do a webinar on this. I'm going to talk what I just did in 5 minutes. I'll take an hour to explain, and you get some more information. But I encourage you to purchase it. I think you'll like it a lot, and it works well on all the high liquidity futures. And in fact, today, some of the guys in our room were trading it on using the triples, like JNUG and so on and so forth. And you can use it with volatility too. So highly encourage you to buy it. It gives you an extra set of eyes, and keep you from doing trades that are low probability. Anywho, so let me talk about the market today. And in some ways, I'm not surprised that they brought it to zero, but I actually was more expecting that today would stay weak and they'd bring it back up tomorrow, which is what you typically do in a normal week before Operation OPEX week, and so I was a little surprised when it got to VWAP. I thought, hey, the day was done, got some loss, and then tomorrow they'll set this thing up for a big lift, but they just can't help themselves. Too many people now know about this buy the dip thing, and at some point it's going to just stone people because they're going to get a lot of people sucked in, and they're going to drop this thing hard, and that's my biggest fear is because I think it's going to come hit people like a 2x4. You know, today in the market we had the worst breadth, BREADTH, for a stock market that ended zero. That means very, very few stocks participated in the move up. Most of them were down. And, you know, I should have brought my, I'll bring this back up, show you guys something. You know, and this is it. Right here is Apple. They used Apple. See, the way these capitalizations work is that the bigger the stock, the more weight it gets proportional to its movement. And so it doesn't take these geniuses, these physicists, you know, computer science guys to say, hey, if I ramp Apple up to 98 and I ramp these guys up to this, we can get it to zero. And then what they do is they short the volatility index, and then they force all these funds into buying. And so these passive investors, believe it or not, it sounds like it's a great thing. They're being forced to buy in for the lift. And what's going to happen to them, though, is one day it's not going to work, and you're going to get, the market's going to just crash on these people, and they're not going to be able to get out till the day after or the day after. And it's all going to be too late because they're in passive funds run by managed money who will tell you not to worry, and you're going to end up getting this thing called the slope of hope. And the slope of hope is, oh, it went down 3%. Oh, went up 1% the next day. Okay, everything's fine. Goes down another 2% the next day. And it basically frees you like a frog in water. And that's coming. And with the short volatility trade so lopsided that it's going to be brutal. But I think the first move down when it happens is going to be a little bit overwhelming. And then people are going to be shocked and they're going to be frozen. And it's going to be like 2008 all over again. And people are going to be a day late chasing this thing. And, you know, the markets are down 47%, but people were down a lot more because they were buying and selling out of sync. And I'm just warning you that's coming again. We're not getting to new highs. We just don't have the cash flow or the growth anymore to do it. Now it's a question of what you're seeing here. Basically, I call it army trading. Left, right, left, right, left, right. It's going to be up, down, up, down, up, down. You're going to be a day behind. And then you're going to get frustrated, and then it's going to really go. So, having said that, look what's not working. Okay, Google's struggling, and Google's down a little bit more earlier. I think Google really screwed up with this thing with Damore. I think they can handle it a lot better. You know, if they were truly interested in the diversity, they would have had a bigger conversation, you know, and instead they acted just like who they say they're not. You know, it was a very fascist approach, and a lot of people are reacting to it. This was a guy he prepared this thing to put out there for a conversation, and this would happen. I think it's going to backfire him. I think Google had their United Airlines moment, and I think they broke a number of laws. And they trapped the left, I think, too, because now if these courts refuse to hear this guy's case, there's going to be case law against people that have true discrimination issues being able to bring it forward. So this guy's going to have to win for them to preserve the bigger system. And I don't think Google's going to like the attention or notoriety. And it looks like this guy was not unhappy that this thing got public. So I'm not sure what axe to grind he has, but it's out there, and Google bit on the bait, and now it's in motion. So, and then Microsoft's struggling too ever since their earnings report. Facebook is still, you know, not really moving from its thing too. But Facebook, I think, has the best chance short term. Amazon keeps losing. They took this being down 14 to down 8, so it was one of the funders, And SPY, this is a joke. Every day it finishes here. It's just amazing to me. And then NVIDIA reports tomorrow. I'm going to get into some charts in a second. I'm just walking you through some of these. Netflix, strategically, they're dead. Okay, so this is one now. If it gets overbought, short it with puts or whatever. Disney has announced that they're going to be bringing it in-house. Now, you got to realize that with technology coming today, is that unless you're producing the content, being an aggregator is not going to be, you're not going to be worth anything. Just because you have a lot of eyeballs doesn't mean that Disney can't go out there and buy those eyeballs for their products. And with what's going on with the cryptocurrency and the blockchain space now, is that they're able to track now where these things are going. They're going to get better custody records, so you're going to see a lot of people just going directly to the consumer. It's going to be really fascinating. Tesla, what a joke. The Qs still was down on a Q basis, even though NQ finished, I think, up a little bit. But gold's my story. Well, let me talk about IWM. So I had IWM, bought puts on it yesterday, and I closed them this morning. So I made a quick 1,000 on those. We'll get back in those again, and I have no worries whatsoever. My call spread's gonna expire worthless tomorrow. I'll probably close it and pocket the $100 of premium for 10 contracts. And so if we get to gold here, which was really interesting because people were talking this week about gold actually starting to go down to a low. But what's interesting to me is that they brought the markets to flat, but gold didn't give back their gains. And so I think they're seeing beyond these charades that are going on. It is a nice move here in gold. So it's getting overbought here now on a 2-hourly basis, but it's in motion now. So we'll see what happens with it. And same with silver. That's a nice trade, starting to get a little bit ahead of itself from the volume standpoint. But I like when things hit the VWAP here and pop. That means this was just a retracement, not a sell-off. And our big position here is in wheat and precious metals, and nice move here today. I got the 20 short. I have 50 contracts short at 20 against the positions, and I remember I said yesterday, I said, oh, I don't like that they jumped this thing. I bet it's going to go up to my position here, and it did. And so I'll have to kind of wait and see tomorrow whether or not I got to close those off or just maybe roll them into the 2050s for next Friday. But it was a good day for me there, and then also AG is starting to come out of its earnings issue here. So 5 to 7 days, this low hold, this should be the low, and then we should try to get a move back up into the channel here, which would be great for me, and I'll start taking some profit on my trades here. But AG, once silver and gold start to go, maybe not this go around, but the next go around, AG will get double digits again, just like they did in the beginning of 2016. So let's see what else I want to show you here. Okay, we bought SILJ today. Okay, pretty much where we bought it at, but these are the small cap miners. It got pushed way down here, and when it gapped up here, I said, okay, let's take a shot at it. I think there's a run here up to maybe 12 or 12.50, and that's what we're looking to do. We're short the banks, and they pushed it down here all day long, but banks are in big trouble, and I think you're going to see a nice little rounded bottom here on FAZ, and other than that, we have position here in wheat, and wheat's putting back up again. I think 7.11's my price. I'm going to let this thing move here. 7's my out, and then we have UCO as well. And I'm sorry, not UCO. I apologize. We have Chemico. CCJ. I have UCO puts. His we have got those at 1020, and I think it's going to come into this VWAP here, and it's going to bounce too. And so I'm just kind of holding on to it so I have something long on the energy side. Oil is really weird today, and I think it's struggling here at 49.50, and probably what held it at all today was the this Korea news of whatever it is that's going on over there, and with Trump. But that's kind of where we are right now. You know, my position remains. I'm looking for opportunities to short the broad market. I'm looking for opportunities to stay long metals and miners. I'm going to trade the futures the best I can, and look to take some selective puts and calls. And if one of these points volatility is going to pop and they're not going to be able to bring it back down, and then the show is going to begin. Anyway, Bob from Trade Genius. Catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow, 4:30 my time, which is Pacific. I'm going to do the video. Live, and just get on the YouTube channel at Trade Genius, and you can just join in. And I'm going to talk for an hour or so, and you can ask me questions, and it's really going to be both. So talk a little bit about how to trade futures in general, and then how I use the day trading money machine to put me in the best opportunities. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Catch you later. Bye-bye.